on red side. This is KT's third and final opportunity on blue side. If they win this game, it's expected that Nongshim will pick blue side for the remainder of the series. So maybe that Skarner ban needs to look, because I feel like the Taliyah ban, it seems weird when you think about the overall meta, but it feels like it's really hurt BD's ability to roam and impact plays. And it's been one of his best picks, and would have loved to play it with the Vi that Cuz did pick up in that first game. So we'll see what ends up coming through here as we see the Kalista ban second this time around. We'll see if Skarner is for a third time ban by KT. The Ziggs ban makes me feel like maybe not.
Yeah, the issue with this now is that Nongshim can't do the trade, right? Because if KT leaves Skarner open, you have to ban Skarner, right? So kind of interesting call from them to not utilize what has been working in the first couple of drafts. We talked about it, or Space talked about it. If KT still bans Skarner here, then they really do not want to play Skarner. And that would be a big hole in their draft,
yeah,
I would say. Instead,
like,
it's a Lee Sin ban.
It's so weird. Okay, they will ban it, so we won't find out. But if they left it open and they didn't pick it, I mean...
Oh, then you're just, yeah.
But then even if KT somehow won this, you'd be like, for any opponent that has KT in the future, like, well, I guess this team can't play Skarner. I don't know. That's bizarre. But that's not going to be the case in this game here, which could be our final of the series, is Cuz will get his hands on the Nidalee. See where things go here for Gideon. As Kingen has had some power picks early in the draft, I'm going to push that Ezreal up to the top as the AD carry pool has thinned significantly. I say that. Another 2-item spike AD pick going to be locked in instead.
Yeah, I mean, Corki, it's funny. It has been paired with Nidalee many times. We are not big fans of it here, but it offers you a source of AD and AP, at least, between the two, if you do end up doing that. So maybe a little bit of a pick away as well.
Well, the 2-0 team is going to go for two 2-item power spike AD carries at the beginning of this one, I guess. Just face up, and very early in the draft as well, but just wanting to make sure they can get their hands on power here. Now it's hard to deny Gideon from playing that Zyra pick. That is going to be so much magic damage. Feels pretty good into what, especially with the Renekton locked in here, what KT are putting together. So we'll see. Also can match the Nidalee decently well. So I think it's a wise choice. Perfect on Renekton has been something we've seen in the past. Works extremely well with Nidalee. Now this one, I'm not so sure about. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I don't think it's a good choice in this case. But I don't normally like to say that. This is better.
Yeah, Zarya is definitely better. The only issue with picking Zarya alone is that you can't get, like, you know, Zarya Lulu or, you know, one of those lane duos that can be very oppressive. We have seen
Lilia.
Gideon on the Lilia. It is very strong. There's no MF available anymore, so won't be able to see any of that synergy. It got banned out the last time it was picked, and then MF was left.
I think this is a big, bold statement, as we've seen from Nongshim in games 1 and 2, that they don't think that Perfect is going to be able to get a ton done on this Renekton, because I feel like this pick is a little bit more vulnerable, because it has to get into the thick of things practically in melee range in order to get its value into Renekton. That's why I thought the Zyra would be a more likely pick in this scenario. Because they prioritize the Zarya, they still get that Taliyah ban in second phase here towards BDD. And the Elise will fall here. I am curious what the game plan is going to be in terms of solo lanes here for Nongshim Red Force. You know, obviously the Corki is going mid, but how will they like kind of get through the laning phase against a Renekton topside? Corki is blind in this scenario. They take away the Syndra, which is an old BDD favorite, which can pressure the Corki in lane. Similar story with the Taliyah. How are they going to put Kingen on a champion where he can sit back and be okay against this Renekton? Is what I'm curious about. Like, if you play something like a GP here, if you're so bold, Kingen, which he has done in the past, it could be really interesting and a ton of late game scaling. Or are they just going to put him on something like a Gnar and Ornn here? He's laughing.
Uh-oh.
Is it the GP angle?
I do wonder what is going on here.
No, it's just going to be the Ornn.
Yeah. I mean, hasn't locked it yet. Okay, well,
those are like your options, okay? Like, there's Ornn or Gnar, like a little bit safe, or you go GP, but then you're super squishy. Your entire comp has no front line. I like this better. It gives you some more scaling in the late game. And your mid-game fights are pretty good into the Renekton as well.
It's a Kingen pick, you know? He had one of the first plays where you like flash right into their face and you bop your ult right back in. Very clean Ornn player. I think he's very confident on it. It can deal with Renekton. Can it deal with Renekton Nidalee? I think we'll find out. Tristana, the pick here for mid for BDD, and then the, I guess it could be Zeri mid. Probably
I don't think so.
Not, though. Probably just going to be Zeri and Rel.
See how they want to empower this Corki in the bottom lane. Shannon Elise banned again against the Hens.
Blitzcrank?
Not so sure about that one into this composition. Rakan is a little bit risky as well, but can, if it can find its way into the backline, do well. But both AD carries here for KT Rolster are pretty mobile. I actually like what KT put together here, to be honest, because they have a composition that is based around getting the Zeri ahead early. Hasn't swapped to bottom lane just yet, by the way. But getting the Zeri ahead early, and in team fights with the Renekton's early power levels, you can just force those skirmishes into your favor. If you end up getting grubs as well, and your comp is centered around that Nidalee Renekton top side, then the Renekton sets you up for that success. You stack 4 or 5 grubs, then your Tristana is a side lane threat. But if the Tristana is going to be the bottom laner in this case, it means a lot less experience early for the range, and it also means a little bit less side lane power for the Tristana. So I'm a little bit surprised to see this lane setup here, especially because I feel like BDD is a really good Tristana player, and it's a matchup we've seen so much success from him in the past with.
I think, we also used to see Zeri into the Corki. That may be part of it as well. Maybe just wants to go back to that matchup in particular. You're still running double AD carry with Nidalee heals, and the Nidalee has set up at least in the top lane. You don't really have much set up in mid. Actually, 0, unless the Zeri baits the Corki into a fight, which probably won't happen, but kind of interesting comps. It feels like both are very similar, very reliable engage here on the side of Nongshim, along with 2 AD carries. We'll see how it goes for them as we hop into the rift for game number 3. Here we go, game number 3. Nongshim have really dropped the gauntlet today and said, hey, we're just the better team. As Jiu says, here, take a spear.
Good start here for KT in a desperate situation. Nongshim will clear this ward, keep things a little bit ambiguous, set up some deep vision themselves. What I do like about Zeri being mid in this composition, as BDD also goes heal, so won't have teleport or side lane pressure, and Duck Dom isn't going to take teleport either. That could come back to bite them, but it could be a lot of power early. But anyways, Zeri's going to be involved in those early fights and skirmishes almost guaranteed no matter what. And if we can get a Zeri moment early for BDD and he gets accelerated in this game, it certainly could work out. Lehens is looking for some early shenanigans, though.
Shenaniganry begins. Flash W into BDD, who has to flash as well. And now is very low. He does
level 1.
Yeah, he's got the 1 potion. But
his heal is burnt as well. So that's a great set play and isn't really going to cost Jiu all too much. We'll see if he ends up losing on him. He's up 3 CS right now. Like, he was able to get those melee minions in the top lane. So really at the cost of nothing here. Sure, Lehens used his summoners, and that was a little bit more agency for Duck Dom and Wei. But, man, Lehens is running the rift today.
Yeah, and the thing about this is that Jiu's going to hit level 2 first, so you don't even have, like, that old school, everybody remembers Tristana Alistair. You hit level 2, you just all in, and you just kind of win. You don't really have that. You have similar setup as the levels come along, obviously, which is probably part of the reason why we do see that duo there. Kane winning the 1v1 here, perfect, not going to hit his Q, and yeah, that Ornn can definitely deal with the 1v1 with the Renekton.
And you're going to see Gideon come over here, try to apply some pressure with the prio that they have in mid and in top. It makes it very difficult for Cuz to hard farm his jungle. And it's going to be a smite fight. Lehens.
Uh-oh. Cuz pushed away. You see they don't overcommit to it with the rotations coming in. As Lehens might be in a bit of trouble. The disengage cone does come in. Oh, Way's gonna miss the engage, and Fisher Valkyries on Cuz. He's not gonna get the kill. Lehens is low, but so is BDD. BDD goes down first, and Fisher again in the wonkiest, weirdest spot, but he's just gonna walk away.
Yeah, no one can punish him. It's a kill for Nongshim, and KT basically get nothing. And you know, BDD was in position to try to come over and slowly help that play out, but didn't have flash, so he couldn't come over and go for a punish kill. And I understand KT committing heavily to this after this situation happens because they want to get this Zeri accelerated, right? And Wei is here, so there's an angle where, okay, maybe we can actually get in to make something happen. The Blast Cone, though, your favorite, Valdez, is really one of the big difference makers here. Wei misses.
Not the highlight.
Yeah, and Lehens also incredibly low here.
If he hit it, guess what? Lehens is dead.
Yes.
And they get first blood.
And they get first blood, which less significant these days, but still big. And unfortunately, they get nothing. And as a result, and Gideon was able to steal the blue buff as well. And BDD's still down summoners.
Yeah. KT, you know, we talked about how they're not exactly looking like a team nowadays. They have certainly lost a little bit of the KT magic. Doesn't even feel like we're really on a roller coaster. It's kind of just like a slide, right? We're just kind of going down. Unfortunate, you know, I'd love to see these guys perform at their best, but they just haven't really found their angle just yet. Oh, the knock-up is beautiful. In the replay, you can see that's what forced Perfect to flash.
Yeah. I feel like the KT Magic was really lost after they changed their name from KT Magic Ends. Back in Blue Water.
Yeah, you know, technically,
yeah,
the Magic was lost, yeah.
But nowadays, you know, it's like the most recent loss of Magic.
Yeah.
I do think that this game is by no means over, but it's definitely kind of a worrying sign for a team that's clearly been frustrated at times, especially in Game 2, with how the game states have been going, with how close they've been to winning some of these really critical fights or surviving some of these dives or some of these turns or the hyper-aggressive plays like BD going in on the Azir and failing. Let's see if Wei can hit it this time. If there's any follow-up.
This one a bit simpler, as it didn't require a flash, and Fisher was walking in a straight line. And
but no follow-up, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it is quirky. You can just kind of press your W and say goodbye. Valkyrie, pretty strong ability. And he's got great wave clear, which is why he is one of the most common mid laners of all time, I'd say, probably at this point. The quirky Azir days coming back to you guys in April.
See you there. Not entirely sure how this ended up happening in the top lane where Duckdom isn't here and like the whole wave is given to Wei.
Rel needs farm, yeah.
It's not that far behind Ju in this game, but I just wasn't watching what transpired there moments before. Perhaps just a bad trade and he had to back or something. But by the way, Gideon doing what he loves. And in this case, I don't think he's going to die doing it because Fisher is here.
And they're trying to set up something onto a Rakan who presses his dash ability. Meanwhile, the grubs are all gone. So the grubs are gone. Yes, the spear's going to hit. Lehens might have to back, sure. But you're just losing 3 grubs for free. And the biggest reason they do is because, of course, the mid lane issue, right? It's the level 1 flash. The fact that BDD is so far behind and that he's pushed under turret. That's what leads them to getting more grubs.
Yeah, and then the play on blue buff with the pressure they had further puts him behind. He gets hit by a rocket here, and I mean, he's 10 CS behind, but he's just constantly getting chunked out of lane. So the prio is the issue, like you said, and another issue of the result of this play is that Tristana isn't getting grubs for some potential push later. This isn't a side laning Tristana, although there might be some side laning that does occur. It's not a solo laning Tristana in this game, so not as significant as it could be, but still significant in terms of what you can do if you win a team fight, how quickly Duckdom can take out turrets. I mean, this guy was known for doing it on Aphelios in the day, in his heyday back in the LCK. And yeah, I mean, it's all just coming up Nongshim right now. Still early days in this game, still a winnable one, but we need to see the early to early mid-game fighting power of this Renekton. They need to get this Zeri and Tristana accelerated in some way, and just losing plate gold isn't going to be it.
Well, we're hopping in and flashing out. I I don't know.
He surprised himself with that.
I don't have an explanation for that one.
Look, Tristana goes in, Tristana goes out. We can't explain it.
Just like the Tide Wolf. Nobody knows how that works. Yeah, I don't know. Duckdon's been having a rough day, and that one is going to be another blemish, unfortunately. Lehens is like, wait, there must be someone else, right? And then he realizes there isn't, and he just goes in, forces flash.
Oh, I thought you were making a single Lehens. It's like, isn't it supposed to be hype on that team? I was like, well, that's a deep cut, Valdez. But I mean, that's a sentiment, and Duckdom is my guy. Like, for those who've been watching LCK for the last few years, you know, when people stopped championing Duckdom, I was there. I was like, no, guys, he'll come back. Like, he's really good, I promise. And, you know, he came back to the LCK, and I was thinking, okay, this is a little bit risky. It's weird they're not using hype, but let's see how he does. And I think for KT fans, the disappointment is definitely felt. You know, there was some questions about it, and now the performance just hasn't lived up to the choice that KT's made, right, where they decided to go with a veteran rather than a rookie. And you know, moments like this leave you scratching your head, but I think he's having a rough day, and the pressure may be getting to him, even though he's been on these high-pressure stages in the past. I mean, this is the guy who got off the bench because he had his broken arm and played with a cast on and carried his team to victory. So he's done it. He's just, unfortunately, in this series, not doing it. And on this Tristana pick, at least has a lot of agency now with Cousin Wei.
Yeah, maybe here. Maybe this is the moment. Trying to get the dive, it's got to come from Wei first. He has to take the aggro. Kingen gets the knockup, denies the crash down, and Wei nearly dies. Meanwhile, Kingen will survive and lives easily. They could go for a redive here, but meanwhile, a little dive under here, trying to predict the dash was Lehens. Kind of works out, but doesn't get the knockup, gets the predict, but now BDD with his ult available, just going in, 1v2, might have a Q, gets it down. As meanwhile, up on the top side, Kingen, they will succeed on the redive, so KT finally, they wake up a bit.
Finally for KT, some life in this series, they strike back. BDD in the 1v2 has the flash, has the play available, knows Lehens on cooldown, cannot do anything to stop him if he's in range there for the flash to kill. Goes for the kill on Fisher, the redive happens topside, and this Ornn, who was already significantly behind, you know, naturally is going to now find himself further behind. Well, TP here back to the top lane, and we'll catch some of these minions here. It's not going to be another dive, it's not one of those top lane experiences, but still finding himself now a little bit more of a util weak side pick in this game as KT take the Gold League back. This is not a Zeri moment, but it's certainly BDD finally standing on 2 feet, it feels, in this game, as Gideon's looking for more grubs.
Gonna miss the smite here as well. Cuz picks that one up, so could still have a fight over these grubs.
Yeah, Cuz also did use his smite there, so it's a bit weird.
Well, I think they just want to go for the fight, but they're not really doing it very well. They're trying to chase the Rakan. TP will come in. And Fisher, you see, he's not even going to TP. So it's actually Nongsim that make the final call and say, well, we're just not going to fight for this one. Kingen just going to give a thumbs up, but might be in a bit of trouble here. Has to try to fight. Goes down. That's another kill over to the Zeri.
And this is a great composition to grub fight for KT Rolster. It's so powerful early. Zeri is, you know, surprisingly very strong in these early skirmishes and can chase down, split off. Remember, speaking of chasing down,
I think they're fine. He's fine. Little flash here. Not sure about Fisher. Is he okay? Perfect. Still on the chase, but not going to continue with that one.
Arguably more valuable that the Renekton loses his flash there. Both of them have movement abilities, but it's kind of a weird follow there from Perfect. Could have just been happy with the flash himself, but thought he was in range to set something up. Going back to this 1v2, it's a really nice movement there from BDD, tricking Lehens, who's predicting, like you said. And then here, he's got flash and heal. This rocket misses, and Lehens can offer very little damage. He's just trying to heal as best he can, drops the ignite, and then BDD's just like, all right, he's on cooldown. I'm flashing in for the kill. No chill, no words from the man in the mid lane.
It's not really the time to celebrate either, you know, after the way today has gone. It's just a moment to say, okay, I finally did something. I mean, BDD has definitely done more than just that in this series, but hasn't been the shining BDD performance today either.
Still, I would say has been the best performing member, all things considered. Yeah. I mean, this game state is pretty good for KT, but we need to see more. We need to see this, you know, it's a second kill on Ornn, right? But we need to see, like, how they snowball this Renekton composition, get the Zeri further ahead. Having Shiv is going to make BDD's life a lot easier and a lot more oppressive in the side lane. But they are going to eventually get to that breaking point where Nongshim do have that double 2-item spike, and then the ornaments are going to start coming through. Lilia significantly ahead over the Nidalee right now as well in this game, as Gideon has had full control over the jungle. This is a really nice setup here for KT. This is oppressive, and Kingen doesn't have flash.
They do have Gideon here, and there's the knock-up in a way. He's only a level 5 Rel. I think he's just dead. No flash available, so Wei is just left to die. The TP will come through. They give the kill over to Gideon. Now they're going to try to turn this one onto Duckdom, who has to flash again, but the follow-up is there. There's just too much hard engage on the side of Nongshim. And as a team, they overextend. They don't expect Gideon there, and Nongshim are able to punish.
Yeah, this is kind of a disaster for KT. Still holding on to a sliver of a gold lead here, but that was a big whiff, and it's going to be a Dragon going over to Nongshim as well on the play. Perfect will get some additional gold here on this Renekton and further his lane lead. But he is on a timer. He is Renekton after all. This feels like a really nice neutralization of the advantages that KT had earlier. I don't think they had to go that deep for the play, and Wei was left on his lonesome isolated there. You can see his flash is up now, but he didn't have it at the moment. It's a whole turret to the Renekton, which means it's going to be a lot tougher for Kingen to actually stem the bleeding here, but I feel like the wind is a little bit out of KT Rolster's sails. They're going to need to get that momentum back. They have feats of strength as well, mind you.
Yeah, just got it with that turret there, so nice little positive for KT. Finished Black Cleaver and Tunneler there for Perfect, so he's feeling pretty good. He's got the biggest lead so far on the Rift out of anyone.
BDD definitely has some where's your support now energy in this matchup against Fisher. As this knockup barely hits Wei, but it's enough. And he's just unfortunate with a Nidalee as his jungler. Like, he can't really do anything here. And then Duckdown going in on this 1v1 on the Jiu is very puzzling because the rest of his team has already clearly made the call to get out. And that's what hurts the most. Like, you lose your Rel there. It's kind of a split call, and the support does often just trickle in to die in that moment when the rest of the team can't follow up. But AD Carry going in on his own, that one a little bit less forgivable, unfortunately, and Nongshim will happily get an additional kill. Now Jiu has 2 kills up on this Tristana, and he is very well on his way to the 2-item spike.
Yeah. We also have Collector first here for Duckdown. There are a bunch of squishy members on the side of Nongshim, but not going to feel very good into Kingen, which is a guy he's going to be hitting a lot.
I'm not like a big hater of the Collector in this game, because if you can kill those squishy targets and get your resets, it absolutely is worth in those scenarios. And they've put Kingen significantly behind, so I can see the thought process. It's risky, but it absolutely could pay off in this game. Yeah.
Let's see what the rest of the build looks like as well. What direction he wants to head. And, well, there's the support. Nice buffer from Duckdom. He's been having a little bit of a roughie, and we talked about that a bit, so want to celebrate when he has his good moments as well. Wei here has hit level 6. He did get there. Second set of grubs come up, and Nongshim say, well, we're down a little bit, but maybe we can get some grubs here. Or not the grubs, the Rift Herald, sorry.
Yes, Herald is up. BDD ready to fight. This is one of those last few moments you're going to have as KT with this composition where you're super strong in these fights, especially if you can keep the Ornn out. But Perfect is opting to side instead. Does have TP. See if he wants to utilize it here. He's going to get a turret at least.
Less off position down for Wei, and now he's just taking a massive amount of poke damage. And yeah, turret goes. Perfect TPs. They want to take the fight. Wei's getting healed up by the Nidalee. Maybe want to go in here. Wei not going to hit anything as he does get the shift out of them, but the turn comes through from Nongshim, and the team fighting is just so much better from them. Nice steal from Cuz. And he will, oh, he's not going to go in there for that one. And BDD trying to make it all happen by himself. He's just going to go down immediately. You can feel the desperation
look
in
at
the air for
Duckdom's
KT.
Damage in that fight, 99. He did nothing. Doesn't have the range yet at this point. That's
Ezreal's
a reverse
4-0.
Yeah, that's a reverse Zeri moment. I think our first.
Oh God.
Here at the LCK is BDD tries to go in and clean up those health bars, but ends up just bombing out.
That reminds me of Papa Smithy's call on the reverse legendary. I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Purioning back in time, Valdez.
Yeah. Except now it's,
He's going to get a turret as well off of this. When you look at this setup here, look at Duckdom this whole fight. Perfect is like, he's like trying to decide. Look at how broken up the call is here from KT. Perfect's trying to zone. See the engage come through, which just gets a shift out of Jiu, and then the rel is also gone. And Duckdown was like, I want to shoot him real bad. Like, in a BDD just gets one kill, maybe I can get in there. Maybe we can just jump through together. 2 AD carries holding hands, jumping through Paradise, but it's just such a split call. And Nongshim were like, all right, well, you guys committed, but only halfway. Thanks for the freebie.
Yeah, and a lot of their hard engage comes from the rel, but the rel engage onto an Ezreal, and you know, nobody's there to follow up, as you're mentioning. It's just, it just feels so desperate, right? It's like we have to make a play. We have to do something right here, right now. Way, you've got to be the guy. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of pressure on this young support's shoulders to make plays, and it hasn't necessarily been a recipe for success. We'll say that.
Manamune complete at 18 minutes, nearly stacked here for Jiu. He's significantly ahead of his AD carry in the mid lane with all those kills. And Ezreal came early here in Game 3, and I'm really concerned about what this is going to mean for KT in these upcoming fights.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they could easily come back in this game. They're not even really behind at all, you know? Like, they have even gold, they have feats of strength, they still have a good comp.
They're just not hitting the breakpoints the way they want to.
Yeah, you could just kind of feel it in the air that they're not really all there. We'll see, I mean, what this next fight looks like as they get pushed off the dragon and Nongshim take it for free. They say thank you for the leash. No engage comes through. I say that, and the engage comes through from Nongshim. And this time Way's going to hit the front line. Okay, the follow-up is just not there, though. And again, you've got this massive Ezreal doing tons of damage. Alongside of the Corki, they just line up for it. And Cuz is also going to go down. No disengage code for him. Triple kill for the Corki.
And they're acting like in these engages, they've got this big swath of AoE AP damage they're going to layer over this rel or something, but it's a 1.5 item Tristana, 1.5 item Zeri. You know, it's a big ult. But then what? And they were late on the play to get to the dragon. Once again, the engage feels like desperation. As Duckdom was like fishing for Jiu in that fight, he keeps trying to look for the rocket jump onto the Ezreal, and the Ezreal's just like, okay, I E out. You're not a Kaisa. King is he's just juggling the aggro. It's fine. Okay. We can PvE, right?
Right. When the circle comes up, yeah, you got to. Gideon.
Where's the white mage?
The circle
healer.
When the circle comes out, don't stand in the circle. Yeah, it's Otacon buff. And again,
right, look at Duckdom in this fight. Jump on Jiwoo as well. Oh, we're past that now. Okay, we're after that.
Yeah, now he doesn't have his jump.
He doesn't have the jump. He can't do any damage here. He's just too low range. It's 80 carry Tristana.
He's a 1 item and a half. Yeah.
It's almost but not quite was the story of 3 team fights ago. Now it's like you're not even close, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It did end up going for Flicker here on his second item. Yeah. I don't know how much utilization we're going to get out of it in this one, but maybe a catch here. So many of these Nongshim members are so difficult to lock down. Like Kingen has his Unstoppable, you have Lehen's on a Rakan, Jiu is Ezreal, Fisher is Corki. Like, only Gideon is really one of the ones you can catch. He doesn't have an arm guard.
And he's very fast, right?
He is fast, that's true. It's just so hard to actually make a comeback play here when you're behind at this point. Now the Corki does have 2 items.
Yeah, and specifically, as you were talking about before, it's not like you have huge follow-up for the rel, right? Like, getting a big engage isn't everything. You need your 80 carries to scale, or this composition doesn't have damage, especially when you're behind / even. And Perfect's almost dying to Corki now.
He's the only one who's not behind in terms of lanes.
Uh-oh, here we go again. Wei gonna get charmed up. Might actually get out of this one. As Gideon was like, nah, man, I'm doing the Raptors. They're worth more. I don't care about this rel anymore.
Too real.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the siege is decent here for Nongshim, but they're not quite going to be able to break through this inner. A lot of time being bought here throughout the last 45 seconds of this Otacon buff. We'll see if KT can stem the bleeding. BDD does have Runins. If he had it during that rel, ultimately he would have done a little bit more.
Uh-oh. Well, we got to sleep here. Cuz gonna flash out. Gideon, oh, the damage is insane, but the follow-up here from Wei is quite good, and now you do have Duckdom over the top. He's gonna miss his flash, but he gets away, and the withdraws, they get 1. How many more will they get is the question. Kingen flashes in, gets another kill, and they're struggling so much just to take out a con buffs away from Nongshim. And, you know, they get 3, but Kingen's just running through a turret. Like, you can feel the vibes right now are so heavily favored to Nongshim, and they can kind of just do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a whiff there and a lot of gold going over to KT Rollster, but with 3 bodies off the map, Nongshim will be able to shore it up for sure. Ball starts off with Cuz getting slept. He's able to slowly, drowsily get to the wall and make his way over, and then can offer some poke here. Duckdom waits for his opportunity to go in, gets that first reset there, and buys some space between him and the rest of the team. Misses a lot of damage here because he does back off so heavily, and then BDD comes in and he's like, I'm the real AD carry in this one, as Duckdom just waits for some additional damage there, does drop the ult, and then Kingen is like, get out of here. Everyone's like super low, so
Scram!
Just Ornn gets the turret as he does withdraw. But, you know, it's one step in the right direction here for KT, I suppose, but you've got a long, long bridge to cross to get back to even. They were ahead. They had such a great start. They were utilizing their early game composition to its win cons until things really fell apart.
Yeah, and one of the things that Gideon has done all LCK Cup play-ins long and towards the end of the group stage is when he gets ahead, he flies ahead. He gets so far ahead, and you can't catch up. He's so good at it, at farming, especially on Lilia. Another engage comes in here. They're trying to lock down Gideon, but he's so tanky. Even Lahens is going to get away. And so the engage not quite there. They turn onto the Renekton, does Nongshim. They burn him to a crisp. In goes BDD over the wall, but he can't even catch Lahens.
They just can't catch anybody. They just can't do it. It's just everyone's too slippery here. They get the jump onto Gio. He shifts over the wall, and then
all right,
maybe
a chance. I mean, the flash on in. Duckdom. Yeah, no, he's just dead.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Not much to say, Wolf. I do think that desperate times call for desperate measures. That's what they say, right?
That is what they say. So watch this catch onto the Ezreal. Gio's like, okay, this is a bit scary. I'm back with it. Perfect, meanwhile, is going on to the jungler. So Gio gets to do free damage after his E is down. He gets to ult over the wall here. They isolate and kill Perfect because their target selection's on point. They pick this team apart. Duckdom still can't close the gap. Still can't go. I'm really curious what Duckdom's damage is going to be at the end of this game because he's just been zoned out so then he goes for this play here. The minion's also not on his side in this situation, but it's just, he's 2 levels down.
Yeah, Fisher also Valkyrie'd away, so Duckdom had to walk over the Valkyrie, and he's like burning the whole time. It's just, it just really was not going to work. I mean, he has Collector, but it's just too far behind.
He really is. And man, this series, I told everyone, like, you just never know what you're going to get. I don't think anybody expected it to go like this, but I didn't want it to go like this. I wanted it to be a back and forth. I wanted it to be messy and exciting and intense and back and forth, and, you know, 40 champions are banned going into Game 5.
Yeah.
Special LCK Playoffs Game 5 music. That's what I wanted. That's what I felt like. That was the one thing I could be sure about today, but Nongshim said, no, we're just a tier above.
Yeah. That is the one thing you said to me, Wolf. The one thing you can be sure about is 5 games, and I agreed. But it's not looking like that right now. It's kind of a big celebration for Nongshim, but also kind of the opposite of that here for KT. So it's very much a two-sided feel at the moment.
And KT was the team that was higher seeded because of the group format, right? But Nongshim are just coming in and saying, like, we've leveled up.
They've had some extra matches to do so. Exactly. They have a best of 5 under their belt from play-ins.
True.
They're just doing the Baron now. And the damage is there. I mean, it's Fisher, it's Kingen and Gideon. They should have enough, as now trying to engage here onto Lahens. They're thinking about getting Cuz in, but it's too late. Perfect gonna spot it. That health bar, how low it is. And now, again, you just have so much reliable engage on the side of Nongshim. You press your buttons, and from this far ahead, you can kill anyone, including Perfect, who is going to go down, I believe, now 0-4. Here comes Kingen. He's not done yet. He's like, you wanna go more? He's gonna find Duckdom as well. Duckdom not able to hop away, and it just feels like bullying at this point. A singular sleep onto just Cuz as they hunt them down like prey. As at least Duckdom is gonna get that kill with the Zult BDD as well. does a little bit of something over here on the right side, but he goes down. Dies to Lilia, who now has 7 kills. Gideon 7, 0, and 10.
And meanwhile, Gio's just pressing W on buildings and making them blow up. They are ready to end this one. Arguably the most one-sided match, including play-ins that we've seen here in LCK Cup, and it's a best of 5. It doesn't feel like one way.
Oh, they're gonna get another engage here, but he just dies.
Oh, just one more.
Yeah.
0-6.
I mean, they have another wave coming in, and they still have Baron, so try as they may, KT, I don't think they've got a shot at this point in time, unfortunately for them, but Nongshim, man, have they leveled up. KT did not know what they were getting themselves into tonight, as Nongshim will take the 3-0 in flying fashion, absolutely bopping their opponents, and it was not a close one, guys. It was a 3-0, nothing to see here at all.
Absolute destruction of KT Rolster. Len's giving Cuz a little bit of a hug there. Former teammates, of course, but Nongshim looking like a real force to be reckoned with. Even Gio, who's been criticized a lot recently, having a great series, and the macro was great, the oppression, the vision control. This is a team that, if you took the nameplate off, you could say was a top team, like if you really didn't know who was playing. With the drafts we saw, Kingen playing incredible League of Legends in the top lane, Lehens controlling everyone, Gideon just suddenly becoming a superstar here in the LCK Cup. That's what this whole tournament is all about. You look at rosters, right, going into the beginning of the year, and you're like, well, what is this power level of this Nongshim roster? It's kind of this mishmash of veterans and some newer players. And then LCK Cup. Kesper Cup, we had a little bit of it, right? But then LCK Cup comes along and you're like, this is where you really find out what this roster is capable of with a few games under the belt. Lehen's capable of a little trash talk as well. And Nongshim are going into, even if they lose that next round, they're likely to be chosen by D+, because I don't think D+ is going to choose T1 or HLE, regardless of who wins tomorrow. We'll see, but I don't think so. I mean, even if you lose to D+ in the next round, you have accomplished so much.
And who knows? Maybe they can actually challenge them.
They could potentially do it. Like right now,
it's just so much momentum.
Yeah, right now I feel like there's a real chance that they just keep riding that momentum and make that a competitive match in the second round of playoffs.
Yeah.
Who knows what the ceiling's going to be?
The most important game in that series is game 1. Like, DK will have to come out, assuming they choose them, as you mentioned, is very likely. They're going to have to come out and bop them in game 1. Otherwise, Nongshim might just keep running with it, because they have so many series wins under their belt, outside of that loss to T1, obviously. Here are some of the replays we saw, as KT had their moments, but they also had their moments, if you know what I mean. Nongshim, consistent as always, you know, no real notes for them. You know, Gideon continuing to get ahead. They're drafting great comps. I feel like Chelly and the crew has done a fantastic job ever since the end of the group battle. They've really just hit their flow state and kind of figured it out, what works for them.
And it kind of feels like Lehens has been given a lot more reign in the draft, a lot more reigns in the comms, in the shot calling. He is really, feels like limit testing constantly, and even in the small whiffs that you see, like the flash hook into the wall, he just doesn't lose his cool. Sometimes we see Lehens in best of 5s lose his cool a little bit when he drops that rough performance in game 1 and just never gets back his mojo, but he just knows he has to be that positive voice, and he absolutely has been over the last 2.5 weeks. And Nongshim just straight up looked good.
Yeah.
KT, on the other hand, maybe a bit of a wake-up call in terms of what needs to happen between now and the LCK. You've already loaned out your AD carry. I don't think you're going to make any roster changes, but perhaps some shot calling changes and maybe some communication issues could be worked on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll listen in to how Nongshim end the game. Corky hit the turret. Alt in 6, and they're just continuing to say just hit the tower. Tank for me, please. Great job, guys. I think he actually said good job in English there.
Very calm victory after some pretty explosive moments. Duck Dom's damage not that low, but not what you want to see on Tristana. I did mention I wanted to see it after the game. It was just an issue of KT just never in range to hit Nongshim. Like, they were always reaching for plays, and Perfect kept flanking. He's like, I'm flanking, and then the team can't follow up, and he's like, I'm dead because I was flanking, and they found me and failed.
Yeah, Solahen's going to pick up the player of the match here, and not a big surprise. I think that so many of the early plays that he made, and even game one, his Nautilus was insane. Like, that really gave them that huge momentum in the series because he was just making play after play after play. You could definitely give a shout out to Kingen in game two, especially. He would be the POG of that one for his Rumble performance. But even the Rakan here from Lehens was great.
I went back and forth. I ultimately went for Kingen, actually. Mostly just because of that one heroic play that just ended the game.
Yeah.
But still, I think Lehens was
any Gideon enjoyers?
Gideon was a niche option. I feel like maybe a Jonas Strong angle there, something like that. But nobody got predictions correct in terms of scoreline today. Most of our predictors went for Nongshim, but nobody thought it was going to be a 3-0.
Everybody was like 3-2 mostly. Were there any 3-1 Nongshimmers? I think there was
maybe one.
One? We have Jisun on the task. We'll see if we can figure it out before we do throw it into the interview. But that would be the closest person. The person that was like Nongshim Chronicler. The one person that went for 3-1 for Nongshim. So there you go. Chronicler knew it, I guess, the most out of all of us. But we have the interview now. I'll throw it over to Deer for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POM interview translation, joined by Lehens on the side of Nongshim Red Force. What a wild crowd. You have secured playoffs round 2. How do you feel? I'm very happy. And our next opponent is very strong, so I'm a little worried about it, and I'll be on my toes for that one. So your past match history was not actually too good. So did you expect to get such a dominant 3-0 victory? You know, KT, honestly, I've been in their shoes before, so I didn't really think that too much into that. I think it was just really more on you at this point. And what makes this match and this victory more meaningful is that you won all games from red side. And it looks like the team has built some momentum over time. So can you tell that you've improved as a team? Yeah, just thinking back to Kespa Cup, I feel like we weren't really on the same page. And lately, I do believe that we're much more working as a unit. So I think right now I feel much more like a team, and it's really all thanks to my team. So I guess I can't really share. It's a secret in terms of what helped with my momentum. And we heard you say, please listen to me, don't let your guard down. So do your teammates normally not listen to you? I would like to just leave that as no comment today. There are so many fans that support you with all their heart, so please share your resolution. Thank you so much for all the support so far. And I think the reason we're able to perform so well is because of all your support and all the times that you send us your energy. You know, and in regards to round 2, we are going to be in the challenger's shoes, so we'll try our best. And that's the end of the interview with Lehens, and back to the Spacers. Thank you.